Welcome to Unapologetic and Free.
I'm Shar.
I'm Lakia
We're sisters by blood.
and friends by choice. Welcome to Unapologetic and Free.
I'm Shar.
I'm Lakia
We're sisters by blood.
and friends by choice. Welcome, everyone. Hey,
It has
Shar.
been it has been a long time.
So let me tell you how long. I looked it up before we came on, and it's the last recording. Now, I don't know when we posted, but the last recording was June.
Oh wow. And it's all my fault. Lakia was ready to go. And I was the one that was lagging and not ready. But I am ready to go because it's a new year, new me, new season.
So new season, yes. So since it's been so long, we just thought it was right that we just go ahead and start a new season. We are going to do our best to keep these episodes consistent so that we can continue to bring this content, so we can continue to bring topics. We always say this, y'all. We always look forward to hearing from you guys. We want to know what you want to talk about. We always are interested if you want to come on and chat with us, because this really is just a discussion. But we just decided to let you guys in on some of those conversations that we have.
Every single morning that we're driving to work and every single evening when we're driving home, we are having these conversations with each other. And so it was just nice to be able to let you know the type of conversations that we have on a daily basis. We sometimes it's shallow, sometimes we go deep.
Sometimes we go deep. So, why are we here? What are we doing? What's going on with this episode today?
So we are going to talk about support, how support looks in different areas of our life, and we're going to learn about tips to show support or things to do and things not to do when in regards to support.
Yes, but y'all know we are going to keep our format of what are you watching? Now, my disclaimer on this is we know that there's been some things going on in the world and it has prevented some of our shows. They're just now starting to come back on. So I've really been struggling when I was thinking about this, like, what have I been watching, right? Because a lot of it I was forced to go and watch old stuff, but it was things that I had never seen before. So what am I watching right now? The most recent thing that I can think of that I'm watching is the show called Found. And that's where they look for missing children, missing people. It's a team, and so that's literally the most recent thing. But as far as what was I watching, I did watch an old series. Now it only had 3 seasons, but it was called First Wives Club. That was on Netflix. It was 3 seasons of that. Again, it was old, but it was new to me because I had never watched it. So what you watching, Shar?
So I am also watching Found. So we watched that together. But then my shows that my reality TV shows I still watch, which was part of the 90 Day Fiance series. And then I also watch 1,000 Pound Sisters because they're back for a new season. But then when I was in Vegas for the 2 weeks, my older son Trey got me hooked on an anime series called One Piece. So I have been watching that, and there's like 1,000 episodes of this One Piece because it has like 20 seasons. So I'm just now on 101. So this is gonna keep me invested and keep me watching for some years. Even if I decide to take a break, I can still come back. And if I'm caught up on all of my other shows, I have this to keep me company.
All right.
And that's it.
That's it. I'm looking forward to the new shows, SVU, y'all. I'm still Law and Order SVU, so I'm looking forward to those coming back.
Abbott Elementary is coming back.
Okay. That was definitely one of our shows, Abbott Elementary. So again, we're always too. If y'all have shows you want to recommend, please comment. Please let us know. I'm always looking for new things. Oh, another one that I just watched was the Natalia Speaks. So if you're not familiar, but The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, it's got the first season where it talks about her case, but now there's a new season where Natalia speaks and it's a whole different aspect. I don't want to give too much of it away because you really should watch seasons 1 and 2, but it is called The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. And then the second season is called Natalia Speaks. So another good one if you're into documentaries, if you're into true, like real life stuff that happens, then that would be a good one to watch. So,
but then I also saw too on Discovery Plus that they are also coming out with the Gypsy Rose now that she's out of jail. So I need to go and watch that too to see how, because she speaks. So let's see what's going on with her since she, during that time of what led up to the events of her being incarcerated and now that she's out.
All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to, y'all know how we do. We want to define what the word support means. Now, there are different definitions of support, and we're going to do our best to try to cover some different types and what we talk about with support. But I do want to read, right, the Webster, the textbook definition of support. I'm reading the verb definition of support, right? So one of those definitions is it says to give assistance to financially. It says enable to function or to act. The next definition says be actively interested in and concerned for the success of ... And then the last definition, all of these are still verbs, but it says give approval, comfort, or encouragement to. So that's what we're talking about. And I think those three definitions it's going to help us because we're going to talk about a lot of different aspects of support, but those are giving us three clear, different definitions of the same word support.
Yes. So I'm going to start off with support and talking about friends. How can friends support each other? And I did my research. We always like to go and do research. And this is coming from mytherapynyc.com. And so they say there are some do's and don'ts of how to support your friends. And these do's and don'ts can even also cross over into coworkers. It could cross over into parents. It could cross over into different. So it doesn't necessarily have to be with friends, but it's just giving us the do's and don'ts of healthy ways to support. So the first do is empathize. Showing empathy communicates an understanding of someone's emotional state. Letting someone know you understand what they are feeling is one of the most important aspects of showing support. An example, I can tell this must be bothering you, or you have really given this some great thought.
Okay, so now for me, I've struggled with empathy in all areas and aspects of my life. And so as it relates to support and being able to empathize with your friend and being able to, empathize in a sense of at least share words to express. Basically what you said was to be able to express, I see what you're going through, I can understand, or, being able to empathize is putting yourself in someone else's shoes, right? So when your friend coming to you with the way that we support our friend is to put ourselves in their shoes. Doesn't mean we've ever actually been in the shoes, but to try to think about, right? Is that fair to say? Empathy is at least trying to think about how would you feel if you were in whatever situation they're in, good or bad, correct?
Correct. Now, you touched on something, which leads us into the next one. It says validate. So communicating acceptance and understanding, even when you may not necessarily agree with it, okay? Validation communicates that I get it and I understand their feelings. Example, I understand that you are feeling that way. I would feel the same way too.
And I think even with that validating, right, we could go a step further. What feeling? I understand you're mad because this happened to you, or I understand you're sad about losing a loved one, or you're whatever that, right? But being careful that we actually identify what is the emotion, right, that they're feeling.
Absolutely. And being specific, you know, And then that leads us into our next one, right? Number 3 is, so these are things that you should be doing. Ask specific questions. Asking questions demonstrates that you care and are curious about their experience. Asking questions before offering feedback is an impactful tool of support. Now, when I was reading this, I was like, okay, this can be like a thin line, because there are people who are asking you questions who genuinely care, and people who asking you questions because they want to be nosy.
Right.
And so you go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the key too with that validating though, or making sure people know you're listening is because how can you really support me if you don't even know what I said? Right? Like, so are you listening because again, you're just trying to hear what the scoop is and you have no intentions on supporting me? Or are you listening by being able to actually tell me what I said about whatever situation, whatever's going on, right? That's being able to actually listen to someone and let that person know you support them because you're able to tell them what they said. Does that mean verbatim, right? No, I'm not going to be able to tell you verbatim, but I'm at least going to be able to say things to let me know, right? Like, okay, so I understand you lost your job. I understand how that feels about losing your job. But if you just saying, oh, I understand, you understand what though? I just want to, and for me, this is a sensitive topic for support because it's not about just saying the right thing, but actually knowing why you're saying the right thing. Anybody can say, oh, I understand, but what do you understand? What is it about what I said that you actually understand?
Or when somebody is just saying, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, what's crazy?
I do it, y'all. I'm guilty. Sometimes I'm guilty. I'm not paying attention because I got distracted. And I'm like, because we've been taught to say, to let people know you're paying attention, but you're really still not paying attention.
Okay. So an example of asking questions. And this is a big one. And I am training myself to do this. What do you need from me right now?
What do you need from me right now, right?
What do you need from me?
Right. Do you want a listener and you just want me to listen? Do you want me to try to solve it? Do you want solutions? What do you need from me? Now, sometimes I can say, I don't feel supported always when people say that because I'm coming to you for help. But here's the thing about being able to communicate. The other person might not know that I want the help. So sometimes you got to be careful when we say, well, what do you need from me? Because it's like, what do you mean? What do I need from you? Tell me what you think, right? I'm coming to you. I'm telling you this problem. You're supposed to give me some feedback about what I'm saying.
And I think that's where, again, being more specific. And we're saying, okay, do you want me to just listen? Do you want me to let you vent? Do you want me to help you problem solve? So ask, and then that person, it puts the responsibility back on them to tell me what they need from me.
Right. And truth be told, in the moment, sometimes I might not even know what I need. All I know is something's going on. But it would, if people or my friends would be more willing to say, well, what do you need from me from the beginning, even in a marital, and I know we're going to get to it, but even if you consider your spouse or your partner your friend, then even in that, some ways of support, things we should do, we're still talking about what we should do, should be to say, okay, what do you need from me right now? Especially if you're a person who is quick to just solve the problem, then it's a skill of validating, but it's a skill that if you truly care about your friends, that you'll take the time to really find out, right? Before you just rush in and try to be Captain Saver and save the day, and they don't need you to save it.
Okay. So now that is a great segue into things that you don't do. Okay. So do not make assumptions. Although you know and care for the person, do not assume you know what they need. We are all different and have different needs and different preferences for receiving support. Example, is there anything I can do to help? Okay, so without making assumptions, that leads us back to the asking questions.
Right. And I
Okay.
think too, a lot of times when we assume, you're assuming you know what it is. And so you just jumping in to try to come up with a solution to assume that you know what's going on. Or sometimes people tend to not even let you finish saying what you have to say. And they're assuming that they know what this happened, or they're assuming, oh, so and so did this. And you're like, no, can you let me finish first, right? Don't assume you know what I'm about to say, or don't assume that, oh, all you need to do is this, and you haven't even given the person a chance to fully finish saying whatever's going on. I've been guilty of it, y'all. This unapologetic and free, I'm guilty of not letting people finish, or I'm guilty of get on with it. Like, you taking too long, so I'm trying to speed you up. Don't do that, y'all. That's a don't do.
Oh yeah, because yes, Lakia, she's getting better because she just wants you. Me, I have to give you the background knowledge and the context so you know exactly all parts. So then you can give a good. You can tell me exactly what I need to do because you have all parts of the story. Okay.
Yes.
Now, number two falls into what you just said. Don't take on the responsibility to fix it. More than likely, the person just wants to be heard and supported and not told what to do. Do not try and fix the problem by listing solutions before asking what they need from you.
That's good.
Okay. 3, don't compare their problem to one of your own. Do not say, oh my God, me too. Or I know exactly what you are going through. It is not about you. These statements put the attention on you and not on your friend.
Wow. Because then when you, oh, I get that, because it's like, I know. Now I'm shifting it from you to, oh, I know what you, because this happened to me and da 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 da. And now you've just turned it and made it about you by saying, oh, I went through this and I know. It sounds like the right thing to do to say, I know what you're going through too. I've been there. And then for you to go on and tell the story about how you've been through it, and you think you're helping, you think you're supporting the person when you're not, because you just made their situation no longer, it's not them, right? Now it's about you. And yes, we mean well when we do that, but it really is not a good way to show support to the person who you're supposed to be supporting. And so absolutely, man, that is so true. Again, it's nothing that I'm saying I can do overnight. All of these things are skills, the things that you have to practice. But at the same time, I think it's important to have this conversation so that we can start to unlearn some of these behaviors and some of these things that we thought were okay. And we just assumed that that's what the person wanted as support, but we're not taking the time to really have the conversations to find out, how can I truly support you, and what is your idea of support that might not look like what my idea of support is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So now, what did you find in your research?
So we staying on the topic of friends, or are we moving on to a different category?
So I have a different category. You know, everybody know that because I'm a teacher and I work with kids on a daily basis, I always like to give an aspect of how to support children and teens, you know. So I do have some ways of what are ways adults can support children. And that adult can be a parent, a teacher, or another adult. So supporting teenagers involves understanding their needs, fostering open communication, and providing guidance. Here are some ways adults can support teenagers or even support kids. 1, and you touched on this in the beginning, so this also applies to kids: active listening. Number 1, active listening. Take the time to just listen actively without judgment. Let them express their thoughts, feelings, and concerns without interrupting.
Yes. Or
because
saying that's crazy, or why would you do that? Or that's those things, statements that we make, right? When we're judging our kids and we're not giving them a chance to get out their feelings.
absolutely. Open communication. Create an environment where teenagers feel comfortable discussing their problems and seeking advice. Be approachable and again, non judgmental. Because we have to remember, once upon a time, we were kids too. And a lot of adults forget that we used to be kids and we used to be teenagers because we're an adult way longer than we ever were a child
That's right.
or a teenager.
Yes, absolutely.
3, respect their independence. While guidance is important, respect their need for independence. Allow them to make some decisions and learn from their experiences. This falls back into we can't automatically fix it.
Right. So I have an example as I'm thinking about that. I have a teenager actually about to be 14, and just something that came to mind that just happened recently. He had a school project, right? It's like a science project. And he's trying to do it a certain way, right? And so in my natural mind as a parent, trying to fix it, right? Oh, well, you should do it this way. But he already had an idea of how he wanted
How
to
he
do
wanted
it.
to.
And the way he was doing it wasn't right or wrong. It was the way he wanted to do it. And so I found myself saying, oh, well, you can just do this. Or I was asking questions like, well, why are you doing that? Did the teacher say to do it that way? And his response was, no, but this is how I want to do it. I want to be able to print this out a certain way and put it on there the way I want it to, because newsflash, it's his project. He's the one that needs to get the grade, right? And yes, as support would have been when he called and asked, hey, I'm trying to print this, listening to the fact that he just wanted me to show him how to print or tell him how to print, not tell him how and why and ask him all these questions about why you printing that. You don't need to do it that way. And so I failed that example, right, of being able to support my child and giving the respect of them having his own opinion on how he wanted to do his project. Now, in the end, he ended up doing it the way he originally wanted to. Why? Because I was finally able to at least talk him through how to print, and then he was able to print and do it the way he wanted to, right? But that goes back to active listening. That goes back to what you said about respect and just being able to use that example of how our children need to be respected enough to make the decision on, again, a project that he's doing, that he has to turn in, that I should have been grateful that he was actually trying to do the project.
Absolutely. And it goes back into number 4. Provide guidance. Offer guidance and share your experiences when appropriate. Share lessons you've learned without imposing your views.
When appropriate to me is when they ask, what did you do? How did you do this? How did you? Now they're asking, right? The person is asking you to tell how you did. And now that's open for you to be able to, now it's about you because they asked for you to share. So absolutely.
Okay. Number 5, encourage goal setting. Help teenagers set realistic goals and support them in working toward those goals. This can foster a sense of purpose and achievement. So again, you are guiding, you're respecting, and you're encouraging. Verbs, there's them verbs, okay? Right. And it's funny, like this whole topic so far is verbs.
Right.
Being active, being, right, intentional.
And I think too, even in that with the kids, right, we think about support as doing it for them, but it's not. Support could just be direct guidance of where to go to find the answer. Oh, go here. Oh, look for this book, right? Oh, and not doing it for them, but being able to guide them on how to still access the information that we might already have, right? But again, instead of giving them or doing it for them, guiding them and encouraging them to be able to access the information and learn it for themselves.
Right, because we're not going to always be with them. So we do have to train them so that because hopefully they don't be with us forever, but if they do. Right. All right, here's one that I commend you on as a parent: being informed. Stay informed about their interests, hobbies, and activities. This allows you to engage in meaningful conversations and show genuine interest in their lives.
Absolutely.
And you're doing a lot, better with that. Even though before you used to be like, well, I don't care about that, but it's what he cares about.
Right. And one of the ways that I learned that, just wanted to interject here, is a something called My Time. There is a curriculum out there called Strengthening Families, and through Strengthening Families curriculum, they teach this skill of My Time. The My Time is where parents spend 10 to 15 minutes with each child, however many kids you have, but the key is doing something they like to do. And in that 10 to 15 minutes, parents are not allowed to be critical. You can't ask any questions. You have to just be in the moment. So if your kid is into video games, then My Time is about spending time watching them play the video game. Or if they're into comics, or maybe they're just into a topic and they want to talk to you, the key is to be able to do that and allow them to do that for 10 to 15 minutes, where again, you're not saying, oh, well, this, oh, well, that. You've got to be quiet. You've got to engage. But the key is to make sure you're doing it within that 10 to 15 minutes. So it can't be things like going to buy them something, depending on how far the store is. But again, you want to do things where you get a chance to learn about what they're into and what their interests are.
Exactly. Now, my nephew, her son, he's really good. Well, he'll call me and say I'm in the middle or I'm on the phone with somebody. I will tell them, hey, this is my nephew. I gotta go. I'm giving him that time to talk about whatever it is he want to talk about. He'll call me, he'll ask me questions. And so he gets my undivided attention. So now he's comfortable with, okay, if mom and brother James are not, I know that I can call my Aunt Charnay and she's gonna give me the time that I need, because I don't feel comfortable with talking to mom, or I don't feel comfortable with talking to brother James. I know I can call my aunt. And I just realized that he does that.
Oh,
all right.
Just kidding.
Number 7.
Go ahead.
Set boundaries. Establish clear and responsible boundaries. This provides a sense of security while allowing teenagers to explore within those limits.
Absolutely. Definitely setting boundaries.
Now, in the Strengthening Family program, right? What was the ways that they talked about setting boundaries?
So it's a lot of different ways to set boundaries depending on what those boundaries are, through monitoring, right? So you can monitor your kids. You can set the boundaries of talk time, game time, boundaries of even knowing who your kids' friends are, knowing where they're going, when they're going, right? Set up boundaries. And so again, it just depends on what those individual things are, but there's an array of different ways that you can set those boundaries with your kids, for you and them, right? Even in the 10 to 15 minutes, the boundary of parents not being critical, right? And being able to just sit and allow your child to do whatever that time is that you guys are going to spend together in that 10 to 15 minutes.
And there is a difference between control. So if you can get your kid to understand that these boundaries are in place for security purposes, not for controlling you.
And that goes with having those conversations. And again, I know old school teaching, you don't explain nothing to your kid, but it's about having a conversation. It's about communicating and making sure our kids have an understanding of the why. That doesn't mean it's going to change what you're asking them to do, but helping and having those conversations and giving them an understanding is not bad, right? But I know old school is you just do it because I said, or old school is do what I say, not as I do. But new school, it's time to start having those conversations with our kids.
Because I strongly believe, like, not having those conversations, we're causing more harm and damage to our kids because they're not understanding the reason why I'm saying this. It's a security thing. Right. So yeah. All right, number 8.
How many do you have? Gee.
Be patient is number 8. Oh. Be patient. Adolescence is a time of change, and teenagers may go through mood swings or challenging phases. Be patient and understanding during these times. Because again, we were once children, we were once teenagers, we know how we were a ball of emotions and had nobody to really help us navigate them but each other, our
Right.
friends and stuff. And they wasn't giving good advice because they didn't understand their emotions. All right. There is one on this list that I had to mark red, you guys, because it just, and after I say it, you'll understand why I had to mark it a red, which is a question. So help me in this one. Respect privacy.
Respect privacy.
Recognize the importance.
Privacy.
Recognize the importance of privacy. While it's crucial to be involved in their lives, respect their need for personal space.
Oh, that's a tough one, y'all. Oh, I don't know with that one. Privacy. Because I need to know who you talking to. I need to know what you're doing with that door closed. I feel like, I don't know, that's a thin one because, I mean, I've just heard we all have heard so many cases where things have happened because parents didn't know what was going on. We gave our kids too much privacy, right? And so I don't know, that's one that it's going to take me a little bit longer to think about, spend some time on. Because I just feel like when you under my roof, you in my house, I'm paying all the bills, you don't have no privacy. It's nothing that you should be off limits because it's my job to know what's going on. And so I don't know how I feel about that privacy.
Well, why you think I had to mark it red? Because I was like, oh my goodness, like, no. But then I feel like if there's boundaries, if there's clear boundaries, then I should be able to give you a little bit of privacy, but not.
What's the hot? Like, I don't understand the concept of privacy. What is it that they would need to keep private? Like, what kind of thing? Maybe they, I mean, and again, age appropriate. So I'm just, and in this moment, I just can't think of anything that I feel like they would need some privacy on.
I don't either. Yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything else for kids? Because I want to talk about family support. And when we talk about family support, did you have anything else?
Last one. Okay. Model positive behavior.
Yes.
Definitely. Demonstrate positive behavior and values through your actions. Teenagers often learn by example.
Often learn. I agree with that. And when they watch you, and what modeling is how you interact with them. So often we look at modeling like they're watching us interact with other people, which they are. But again, the first place and way to model is to do it with them. So they can see how you interact with them is how we model whatever skill or whatever behavior, because it really is a behavior of whatever we want. We do it with them. So then they get the firsthand experience on how they can do it with us and then with others.
Yes, I agree.
I agree.
All right. That's all I have.
So let's look at family. When we talk about family support, we could go, there's all different types, right? You have family from a mother, father family, sibling family, aunts, uncles, cousins, right? So we're going to talk about family as an aspect, right? And so just some of the ways in my research about family support, it says, enlist family and friends to help with caregiver tasks. So a way that family and friends can support, or you can show support, right, is support can take on many different forms. It could be something as simple as providing transportation, babysitting, sharing information about services in the community, right? Or talk to someone who understands what it's like to be in your shoes. And as family, right, we should be able to go to our family first. Yes. I need you to watch my kid, or I need a ride somewhere if you don't have a car, right? And so family, right? Another thing I thought about, and I had some different notes, but I can't even find them. But another way that I think about family support, right, is supporting you in life, things that happen in your life. Maybe you bought a car and you want your family to celebrate you. Maybe you have an event. Just case in point, I recently had a vow renewal celebration, right? And I invited certain family members, right? And again, I get it. Family members, things happen, things come up. You already had something scheduled, but at the same time, a way that you show support as a family member It's going and participating in something, showing your support by showing up. That's really what
Yeah.
I'm saying. What I really want to say at the end of the day is a way that we show support, and we can show support sometimes to our families, is showing up.
Showing up.
I had an opportunity while I was at this in Las Vegas, right? We went to a basketball game for my cousin, but to show up and show support. We don't live here. It was an opportunity there, I mean, to go to this basketball game and just show support by showing up. It didn't cost us anything but time to drive and to be there to say, hey, we care. Right. And so that's another way for family to show support. And yes, we talked about in the definition of support, financial, right? Because there are times, y'all, when we need to call our family members, mama, daddy, sister, can you give? I like to say give, but can I borrow $50 to $100, right? Whatever that is. And I say that too, just sidebar. If you can't afford to give it, don't loan it.
Yes. Yes.
Cannot afford to give whatever the amount that your family member or friend is asking, do not loan it, because then you really don't have it to loan. Or if you don't have it to give, then you really don't have it to loan. And that's not to say that you can't loan people money, but if you don't have it to give, meaning if they don't pay it back, you're in essence, you're giving it, then you shouldn't even loan it, right? But that's another way for family to support you, or anybody to show support, right, financially. But that's just my initial thoughts, right? And so family can also be there when you need somebody to talk to, right?
Yep.
I can call my sister. I should be able to call my mother, my father, my cousin, right? Depending, and be able to just talk to them when I need somebody to talk to. What do you think about family support?
I think that too. Like you should have people in your family that you can call and talk to. But I think 9 out of 10 times why most people don't call certain family members is because they're afraid that their business is going to be spread throughout the family. But just for me, I don't tell nothing that I don't care if somebody else know.
But that's the
Anybody.
thing. And that's the sad part. The whole point in support is trust. I
Mhm.
want to have family members that I can trust to talk to and not have to worry about my business is going to get out all over the family or all over wherever because I shared something in confidence. So for me, the dues of supporting as a family member is to trust and keep things confidential. And sometimes, like you said, I ask me if it's okay to share.
Yeah.
Don't share information if you don't have the permission to share. And here's the thing I feel like a lot of families don't do is let me tell my own business. If I wanted another family member to know, I would either say, oh, okay, make sure you let so-and-so know so that I don't have to keep, or let me tell my own business. If more families would just practice that, that's a way to support, right? By letting the person tell their own business instead of you telling somebody else's business.
That's good.
And even it goes back to in the family support, right? I don't necessarily need you to solve it. I don't necessarily need you. Now, sometimes I call my sister and say, hey, this happened. And can you call and talk to the person and say something? Because for whatever reason, right? Maybe
Yeah.
I know she gonna say it in a way to help me get my point across, or she can, we just have that relationship where there's certain times where I will say, hey, this happened and I don't want to call the person. Can you call the person? That's a way to support me, right? By being able to do that for me and vice versa. Or again, the conversations that we have on a daily basis is support of just that listening, just that having somebody to bounce. And we like to say this a lot too. That's why you talk to people.
That's why you talk to people.
Being able to talk to somebody and bounce ideas off, right? And as a sibling, and I get it, all siblings don't get along. We didn't start this way, y'all. And in case we've never shared it as kids, we didn't get along, right? It wasn't until we became adults that we actually started liking each other and having these conversations. And that's probably the way most families are. But again,
Right.
That's how we look at this family support. So the do's is being there to listen, showing up. The don'ts is don't be spreading your family members' business if they didn't give you the permission to share, right? And it's not just financial. But there are times when I feel like as a family, if I need something, I should be able to go to within my family. I shouldn't have to go to strangers to ask for groceries. Or if I needed a little money, I'm in between paychecks and I need a little money to get toilet paper. I shouldn't have to go to strangers. I should have some family members that I can call. And nowadays, Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, all of these ways that you can send money, right? I should be able to. What do you think about that? That as far as support, that we should, do you agree with the statement that we should be able to go to our internal family first for support before ever having to go external?
I agree 100%, but everybody family ain't made that way. So you just have to know who you are dealing with your family, and you know the dynamics of how your family function that you may not have be able to go. So you have to go to outside family.
Right.
And again, we know like family doesn't necessarily have to be blood. Family sometimes is who we choose to be our family.
Right. Meaning we have a closer connection. It's beyond just the friendship, right? And I want to go back to the friends real quick, y'all, because I had a scenario. I told you I had notes, but I don't know what I did with them. But I wanted to give a scenario about friend support. Throw it out there, see what you think, how you would handle it. So here's a scenario. A friend had a baby, and initially baby and mom were still in the hospital, right? But baby is ready to be released, but mom is not. So the hospital's saying, hey, mom's not ready to go, but the baby can go home. Now there is a father in the picture, but father has a job. Father really can't take off work, but baby needs to come home. Baby can't stay at the hospital, right? And so friend is sharing this situation and saying, hey, this is what's going on. And I don't know what to do. In that scenario, what are some thoughts of ways that you can support that friend?
So for me, I got two things. One, if the father is capable of, taking care of the baby, let the baby go home with the father. But then when the father, if my schedule allows me to, I could either keep the baby while the father is at work, or I could transport the baby to daycare, from daycare. I can go over after I get done working to help the father, bathe the baby and things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I agree with that. And in the scenario, the choice was made for a friend to, regardless of their work schedule, was to take off. Friend had time off, vacation, sick time, whatever it was, and said friend showed support by saying, look, you're in a situation when husband goes to work, I'm just going to go ahead and the person's going to go ahead and call in that day, again, whether it's vacation they had or sick time, and went and took care of the baby while husband went to work, and then husband comes home and takes care of baby. That's an example of support. And you said it, right? You said if your schedule allowed, but at the same time, a step further, and this might be where we talked about friends turning into family, because now I might not do something like that for a friend, but I think about sick time, right? Like, okay, a family member sick. If my kid is sick, I take sick leave, my husband, right? So same thing, that support was shown by, I'm treating this as a family member, and I'm going to take the sick day so that I can go and help take care of said child.
That's good.
So I wanted to interject that because I said, I forgot when we were talking about friends, but in that scenario, right? And so we don't want to go too long with this, but I do want to move on to employer support. And I'm really passionate about this because now I find myself on the other side. For years and years, I've been on the employee side where I'm the employee and I've got a boss or a supervisor, right? And so first of all, I want to just read this as it relates to support from an employer. It says, okay, offering flexibility is a major way to show your support for your staff. This might mean different things for different people or workplaces. In a traditional office, flexibility might mean employees can choose their own work hours. They can take time off without managerial approval. But it also is a form of providing feedback, mentorship, and training.
Okay.
Talk about support, right? From employers, right? And lately, y'all, I just been hearing a lot of toxic workplaces. Oh, I got a toxic boss, right? And really, that's another reason why this kind of topic came about. And like I said, in my own, now I'm on the other side as a manager, a supervisor, or a director, whatever you want to call it, and being in a position now where I've got to support staff. I'm not the owner of the company, so that's the other thing too. I want to say a lot of times employers the bosses or the supervisors get labeled as toxic when it's not their company, right? I don't own the company. I don't have the final say. But what I've purposed to do and what I feel like more supervisors and bosses should do is work within whatever the authority you have, right?
Yeah.
Sure you're able to provide a level of support through the authority you have. Again, sometimes when it comes to money, I feel like supervisors and bosses get labeled as toxic, like we don't want to give you the raise, but there's other circumstances sometimes that prevents a supervisor or a boss or an employer, right, from giving a raise, especially when you don't own the company. Mm-hmm. So the best employees want to improve and grow and crave a development and mentorship role from their managers. Do you agree with that? Do you feel like you've been in jobs where you felt like you wanted development, you expected your supervisor, your boss to mentor you?
Well, being a teacher, we have, professional development all the time. And we do have observations and stuff. And so I do, like the supervisor I have now, through those observations, they are like, he is guiding me and saying, hey, you should think about this, you should, focus on that. But I think that, yes, supervisors should be giving some type of mentorship, or at least asking what are my professional goals, so that they can connect me.
I think it depends. For me, it depends on what stage you're in, right? Like when I started my position almost 2 years ago, I had supervised people before, but not in the role that I was in, right? So when I started, I was looking for my superior to develop mentorship, right? To be able to help me kind of develop and know what I should be doing and what not doing, right? Because that was already established at the time of accepting the position. So same thing, I feel like as a director, when I hire people, if I know what level they're on when they come in, meaning, sidebar, the person who applied for the position was honest about what their actual skill level was, then if I know that coming in, then I feel like there is an obligation to develop you, to help you, to learn, to develop whatever in the job and the role that you're in, to be able to help you develop that. Or again, you come in and you say certain things on the front end. Yes. One of the things I feel like happens though is that people don't remember that bosses have a job too. Like,
that's right.
Supervisors have a job they're getting paid to do. And yes, a lot of that has to do with how you manage your employees, manage your staff. But again, being able to find that balance. And so I feel like that's where, and I'm not saying there's not toxic people that just intentionally are toxic. They just don't care. I just can only speak for me personally. That is still me trying to find the balance. And I'm just being transparent about finding that balance between being that mentor, right? Being that role versus trying to get my own job done, trying to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do to keep my job, right? That's that struggle and that balance. But what I'm finding too, as it relates to support, right, is again, being able to help people do their job, right? If you see or you know that certain areas are struggling, then being able to ask, what do you need from me? So what can I do for you? And I feel like, again, anyone that's listening to this, you got to be able to let your employer, your supervisor know what you need from them. It can't be this, they should know, because again,
because they are not mind readers.
not mind readers. And again, they have a job to do. And in a perfect world, the job is just to develop you. But that's not the reality of where we live. Managers have their own goals and expectations and things that they have to do. So if it's something specific, when your boss or your manager or your supervisor is asking you, what do you need from me? That's the time for you to say. But if you don't know what you need from them, then I don't think it's fair to label your boss as being toxic or they don't care.
Absolutely.
You don't even know what you
When
need.
you don't even know what you need or what you want.
Or what you want. And then you got to put in some work, right? I feel like too, and I'm passionate about this because again, it's the side that I'm on now, that I can't do more for you to reach your goals than you are.
That's right. That's right.
Put more work in than you're willing to put in. If you need the guidance on doing your job, but yet I'm constantly saying, do this, and you're not doing it, then again, it's like, well, I'm not going to do your job for you. And I want to put that out there and say what support is not is me doing your job for you. Especially if you were hired to do a job, then support is not me doing your job for you. Support is me giving you the tools, the training. But again, if you aren't able to voice what you need, then it's not fair to expect for your bosses to know what you need if it's a two-way communication there. So that's my soapbox.
And you have to be able to support yourself. If you know that you're not able to do what you were hired to do, it's okay to come and say, hey, I thought I was going to be able to do this, but this is going way above my scope or and I'm not going to be able to stop wasting people's time.
I agree. And then it takes some transparency of what are you willing to do, because again, if you just know that you can't, and no matter what the other person is able to do, you know you're not going to never be able to do it, then I think you should be honest and just gracefully bow out, right? But if you feel like with some assistance, with some, then be open enough and transparent to say that too, like I'm not there yet, but I believe this is something I can do if you give me a little more guidance, or if you can give me some more training, or we can come up with ways to do said whatever it is we're trying to do. So that is, what I wanted to say as it relates to employer-employee relationship as it relates to support. But again, this is something where we want your feedback. We want you guys to share with us, what is your idea of support, especially from any of the topics that we've already covered, specifically employee, employer. What does support look like for you? Because that's the reason we did this episode, is in all those aspects. What does it look like for you? And then I'm going to go a step further and ask you, have you communicated that to whoever you're expecting the support from?
Right. So we've given you some tools.
I've got one more. One more
scenario, or
one more little topic before we get ready to close.
Oh, I know. Go ahead.
And we've had an episode on this. It was about churches. But we want to talk about support from the church, right? And when we talk about the church, we're relating to the pastors, the members, your brothers and sisters in Christ, right? Church body. What is this support, right? And so just research based, it says ways that the church can support. It says pastoral care can offer support through prayer, discussions, spiritual guidance, and more to help create ongoing communication by praying with or for others. Prayer during times of sickness, hurting, and healing can also be extremely powerful. It also says a way to support in the church is for you to pray for your leader, right? Keep your leader and their family in prayer, right? Regularly interceding for them. Follow up with them, communication, right? To continue in prayer until you see your answers and continue to see your petitions come to pass. Another way to show support, we're talking about the church, is to call and check on the members. Now, this is pastors calling and checking on members, leaders in the church calling and checking on members, your brother and sister, membership calling, checking on one another, showing up for important events. All of these things, again, that we've already covered, but as it relates to support, right? But what does the word say about support? And one of the things I want to say in my disclaimer and in my study, as it relates to the word, and again, I'm not saying this but most of the scriptures that came up as it relates to support in the Bible were financial. Now, remember, one of our definitions of support when we started was financial, right? And so most of the scriptures that I found reference to giving something tangible, right? The finances,
Right.
giving, to be generously give and it will be given unto you, right? So that's why I feel like even, the church gets a bad rap for asking for money, right? They say, oh, the church only wants your money. But again, I'm just saying, just in a basic study of support, most of the scriptures came up. So that lets me know that God was serious about the financial support that, yes, the church is supposed to be receiving and providing, though, because that's where I think it gets lost is we
Yes.
always hear about the church wanting and we don't hear so much about the church giving, right? Whether that's giving in their membership, right? Like if you needed groceries, can you go to your church and ask for help? We talked about that, right? If I need money, right? Or where that church is giving to the community, right? Whether it's in their own community or other. So most of the scriptures, right? So God is clearly wants us to give. But I did find another scripture that I feel like speaks to some of the other definitions that we've talked about.
Okay.
So in John 15 and 13, it says, greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so in context, right, we're laying down our life just suggests that we are able to yield, right? We talked about it's not about me. So laying down my life is almost a form of dying, right? Jesus died on the cross. He gave his life for us, ultimate sacrifice, right? But as it relates to support, right, is being able to lay down my life, my opinion, what I want you to do, and being for my friend, right? Being able to support
moving out of the way. So
move myself out of the way. It's not about me. So empathizing, not about me, right? Not assuming it's not about me, not making it about me, but to truly be able to lay down our lives for our friends. No greater love, y'all. And so at the end of the day, right? Support is equivalent to love.
That's right.
And we should show that. When I'm trying to figure out how can I support my kids, my friends, my employee, there should be a level of love that you have for the person that you're trying to support. That's going to make all the difference in how we show up when we support someone else.
Yes. This was a good topic.
Yes.
A lot of knowledge was dropped. Some nuggets.
Yes. And so we are grateful. Again, we didn't want to take up too much time, but it's been a while. So obviously y'all can tell it's been a while. And again, we're going to do our best to keep these episodes coming, keep these topics coming. As always, this will be available on YouTube. It will be available on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to it or you can watch us on our YouTube channel. We're revamping again. We're launching this new season and we look forward to chatting with you as unapologetic and free talk show.
Unapologetic and free talk show.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you guys.
All right, so let's talk about some scenarios, right?
Yes.
I'm going to read the scenario and then you'll try to see how you can show support, right?
Okay.
So the first one, family member is getting married and they invited you to the wedding. You can either attend, but if you can't attend, what else can you do to show support?
So for me, I would send a gift of support.
Absolutely.
But I would also let them know that I wasn't going to be able to, so that they didn't put me in their number.
Perfect. RSVP, y'all.
Right. So I would let them know that I wasn't going to be able to come, and then I would send a gift. Absolutely.
So to me, that's the answer. The way you show support obviously would be to attend. If all possible, if you're invited, you attend, right? But if for whatever reason you can't, I can still show support by saying, hey, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm not going to be able to attend. I just think that's rude when you're invited and you can't at least say, oh, I'm not going to make it, right? Like, that's the way you support, because supporting is at least telling me, hey, I'm just not able to. So now I know, like you said, I'm not going to include you in the number. And then you just show up, but then you never told me you was coming. That's a whole nother thing. Okay. I don't want to get off track, but yes. So showing support when you can attend is sending a gift. And again, if you can't send a gift, sending well wishes, because we know
Well
we're not
wishes.
always able to send a gift, right? But just
Yes.
being able to send well wishes, at least communicate, is a way that you show support. All right.
Yes.
Next one. Sibling is graduating from college. So this is either, maybe it's a brother and a sister and one of the siblings is graduating from college. Maybe it's your adult child who's graduating from college. What are some ways that you can show support?
Attending the graduation.
Showing up, right? So we talked about that.
Showing up. And again, if I cannot make the graduation, I will be communicating that I can't. But then again, I would also be given some type of gift. Or and if, like you said, even if I can't give a gift, I can give a card of acknowledgement, congratulations.
Yeah, because in the definitions we talked about, right, the different ways to support, one was financial, right? So again, if financial doesn't mean you break your pocket, but hey, a $10 gift card, $5, or just a card, right? That's a way that you can show support. Again, if you can't show up and attend. Another thing might be asking if they need. We talked about that. What do you need from me? What is something I can do? Maybe
Right.
it was as simple as they needed help designing the invitation. And you said, oh,
Okay.
I can do that. Perfect. I can help you do that. Maybe support when you say, what can I do? Looks like, oh, can you call so-and-so? Can you invite so-and-so for me? So that's
Absolutely.
another reason why I think
Yes.
support shows up by saying, what can I do? What do you need from me? That's a way to show support.
Yes.
All right, next one. Your child plays sports, but the team is not good. What is a way that we can show support still?
So one, I'm gonna show up.
Show up.
Two,
Not just show up, right? Actually present.
I'm gonna show up. I'm going to be present. With showing up and being present for me looks like putting up my cell phone, unless I'm recording.
Okay, I like it.
You know, but if I'm not recording the game, I'm gonna put my phone up so I can actually watch and make sure that I make eye contact with my child while they're doing what they're doing. Support also means for me bringing a snack for the team afterwards.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think about.
You know, bringing some snacks, bringing some water. I mean, Gatorades or whatever that they can have after they get done playing.
There go that financial. There go that give generously definition, right? That's good. I didn't even think about that. So, that's good. All right. Another scenario is that your child, say you have an adult child and you don't like their partner. How can you still show support for, your adult child and you don't like the person they're with?
So I have adult children that are in relationships, and showing support is I'm going to be cordial.
Be cordial,
to
right?
their whoever they're with, because at the end of the day, I don't have to be with them.
Right. Respectful, right?
But I can still be cordial. I can still be respectful.
And I think too, another way, even regardless of whether you like the partner or not, is including them, right? When you're interacting with your adult child, right? You can include, ask just how are they doing? Respect. We talked about respect as being a way, right, to show that you are showing up or you care, right? So being able to include them in the conversation, being able to include them in the decisions. What does so-and-so think? Or we wanted you guys to, you might not, right? And feel like having the conversation. Why don't you like the partner? Have you even had the conversation with adult child to say what it is about said partner? Here's another step. Have you talked to said partner?
I was just about to say, have you talked to said, you need to talk to said partner and find out, maybe what you thought isn't what it really is.
That's right.
And you can get some understanding and clarification.
Yes. Now, this is the scenario child but teacher. So, your child is failing in class or continues to misbehave. What is a way that parents can show support to the kid but also to the teacher?
Okay. So as a teacher, I would like for the parent to, I'm going to contact the parent and I'm going to explain my concerns about said child. And so I need that parent to talk with their child about what I said, and hopefully that, uh, and I'm going to talk to the child too as a teacher to see, okay, what areas can I support them in? What do they need from me? What struggles are they having?
Right. And for me as the parent, I support both sides by reaching out to the teacher. So like if child is coming home and saying, hey, they're struggling with a teacher or a class, then I'm going to support child by saying, hey, let's set up a meeting to talk to the teacher so we can find out. But then also going to reach out to the teacher just as a parent, teachers, y'all need to respond to emails. There are concerned parents who actually do care about what their child is doing in class. And so I know the norm is normally that parents don't care, but I'm one of those exceptions. I reach out to teachers and say, hey, what's going on? I noticed that my child's grade is this. What can he do? Not blaming the teacher, but being able to find out how we can work together. I'm the parent that said, hey, let's put kid on a behavior plan. I need to know, like, don't wait 2 weeks and then tell me you've been having this problem consistently, but 2 weeks later is the first time as a parent I'm hearing about it.
Right, because that's not fair to.
That's not fair. So making sure those are ways that we can support. All right, church. So here's the scenario. The first time, maybe you're a member, so this could be a pastor or this could even be brother or sister, right? The first time they're going speaking or preaching, how can you support that person if it's their first speaking engagement or their first time preaching? Let's just put it like that.
So I, as a member, as a leader, I'm going to give encouragement. I'm going to pray for them that they are not afraid, that they have peace and they have confidence. And I'm going to be in the audience, cheering them on.
Be in the audience. And here's the thing too, I feel like with today and technology, even if you can't be present, right? There's ways to say, and here's the thing, because I hear people say, oh, well, what about people who can't, not on social media? Call them and put the phone on speakerphone. How hard is that to show your support by saying, I don't know how to work social media. I can't physically be there, but hey, call me and put the phone on speakerphone so I can hear. Or record, right? There's ways that we can still show up for people without physically being able to show up, y'all. Support comes in all shapes and ways. We've just got to be willing to actually take the steps to show support. And again, I feel like it goes back to love, the genuine love that you have, whether it's the familiar love, we're just family love, relationship love, and we didn't even get into marriage. So we might have to come back and do another episode specifically on marriage and how you can support in marriage. But the main thing is all of these scenarios, it comes down to making an effort.
Making an effort.
And
I think that marriage and support may just be its own.
Right. So again, we might have to come back and just do that just on marriage. So we appreciate you guys.
Special guests or something.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So thank you again for tuning in. We would love to hear your scenarios. We would love to hear what your opinions were on some of these scenarios.